Good afternoon, everybody. Uneducated Economist here. So I got a mail call for you. I got a package that was sent to me, and I have a postcard from UFO Engines. Now, I was going to come out and I was going to talk a little bit more about Steve Van Meter's thought and argument as far as quantitative easing being a deflationary measure coming from the Federal Reserve. And he's put out a pretty good video about it. There was a really good interview on Real Vision that he did talking about it. Makes a lot of sense. Now, I talked a little bit about that video, and in the comments section, there was an individual, Bunny Hop, Bunny Flop, who raised a pretty good argument against Steve Van Meter's argument himself, and he left a link down in the description, or I'm not sorry, I'll leave a link down in the description for it, but he left a link in his comment about it, and so I pinned that comment to the top of the video, or to the top of the comment sections in that video from I guess it was 2 days ago. What was the name of it? QE failed to inflate, and the Fed wants to go digital. And I'll leave a link to that video down in the description as well if you want to go and watch the video. And like I said, down in the comments section, his comment should be pinned, or she. I'm not sure if Bunny Hop, Bunny Flop is a male or female, but I pinned their comment to the top of the comment section there for you if you wanted to go and read it and kind of give you thoughts about it, because I haven't. Originally, I had a kind of a thought along the lines of what Bunny Hop, Bunny Flop was saying. But then Steve Van Meter's, what he was saying, actually made a lot of sense, in the thought that, when the Federal Reserve was buying these bonds from the big banks, they basically made them hold that money in accounts at the Federal Reserve. And this kind of made a lot of sense to the reasonings why we didn't see the inflation coming from this massive amount of quantitative easing, during the financial crisis. I mean, you think about it, the Federal Reserve took their balance sheet from like $860 billion to almost 4.5 trillion. And yet we didn't see the rampant hyperinflation like everybody had predicted would happen. And I was thinking the same thing at the time. So yeah, this whole, quantitative easing, what is it, what the cause and effects from it are, still very confusing. No matter, like, even when you think you understand it, there's points of views that come that, kind of get you rethinking again, and that's what I try and do, at least when I'm trying to study economics, is I don't try and take in a certain belief as much as, like, I mean, I do sometimes, but I try to take them in as, like, ideas, as that take this, idea along with other ideas and try to, come up with a grander thought. But if you put it into like a hardcore belief, then a lot of times you end up rejecting a lot of information out there, because, I believe this and I don't believe that, and I don't take in any information that has that kind of belief thought to it. So, ideas is really what I try to collect, really. I mean, if anything, I try to collect ideas. That's my hobby, I guess. So anyhow, what else did I want to talk about? I can't remember. Anyway, this postcard come from UFO Engines. UFO Engines has probably sent me more stuff than anybody has, and he usually draws up these really cool postcards with all kinds of, like, just interesting thoughts, I guess is the way to put them. I should show you sometime if you guys haven't seen them before. I'll go and collect all of my UFO engine stuff and show them. I should probably do a video just on UFO engines, but it's pretty cool because he draws this little. Let me see if I can show you down here. It's right there in front of him. He draws this little airplane. That's him. And there was he had this idea where you would fly a plane, and the plane that you were flying was actually the economy, and you're flying it through. Well, I guess it's your efforts, and you're flying it through the economy, if that makes sense. Anyway, he kind of went on about this schematic, and it had, like, all the controls as far as, like, dealing with GDP and interest rates and stuff like that. And this is how you control the plane as you fly through the economy. I know this sounds weird. But then he shared a link to a video of an old like World War II bomber or something like that having to deal with ice forming on the wings, and the actions that the pilots and the crew had to do in order to deal with this ice buildup on the wings. And it was very much like as if debt was building up on these wings of this airplane, dragging the plane down, and how it is that you have to deal with this plane being dragged down by all this ice accumulation, which is like representing the debt. And all of a sudden it just started becoming a whole lot clearer, to what he was kind of referring to. And anyway, that little plane, that's him flying through the economy. Anyway, I don't know if any of that made sense. Anyhow, in this postcard here, he says to me, he goes, "Howdy, UE. Since you have been at this YouTube posting a while, what are the 5 things you have learned about the economy so far? Have the fires got to you guys yet? The news says that the whole West Coast has burned up." Yeah, there was some pretty dramatic fires going on, but it's been raining for the last couple of days, and I think any fires that were anywhere remotely near me have probably been pretty well, tampered down. The fires didn't really get near me. I think the closest one was still 50, 60 miles away from us. And the smoke, though, the smoke was horrible. It looked like a fog bank had rolled into the area for like a week, and everybody was complaining about the headaches and sinus burnings and coughing and everything that came with it. So there was some bad environmental issues that came from it, but as far as the fires themselves, no, we didn't experience any fires. The 5 things that I think I've learned about the economy. Now, I thought about this because I just picked this stuff up, and so I just jotted down 5 things that I thought I had recently learned from doing the YouTube videos and talking about the economy. For those of you who don't know, I've never taken a class on economics. I've never actually even read a textbook on economics. I did read The Creature from Jekyll Island, not in one sitting. I've read every page of that book, but it probably took me 2 years to get through it. I've read a lot of articles. I've read a lot of Fed speeches. I've read a lot of stuff that takes about 10, 15 minutes to read. Some of the longer stuff that I've gotten into, a little more difficult, but I pretty much have asked Google questions about the economy and just try to pick up as much knowledge as I could from what I've read. If I came across something that, a statement inside of a speech or something that I didn't understand, I would read it over and over again until I practically memorized it, till I understood what it was that they were talking about. That's how I got into doing these YouTube videos and being the Uneducated Economist. And so the things that I've learned, I've really learned a lot. Pretty much everything that I've learned has come from you guys. From the comments section, from people sending me emails on, contradicting arguments to maybe some of the videos that I put out there, corrections to videos, which, by the way, I went back and I tried to find the email just now so I could give you people the guy's name. I screwed up a while back when I was talking about backwardation in contango and the lumber futures market, and when I went to go edit the video, I wanted to edit the title to show that I was giving the incorrect information. Somehow I took the video down and I deleted it or something, because I can't seem to get the video up. I can't find it anywhere. I don't have it in my phone, I didn't save it. So my bad on that one, and it really sucks because it makes it look as if I was trying to show that I wasn't wrong, which I was wrong on that information, but I can't go back and show you guys how I was wrong because I don't have the video to show you. So anyway, I was wrong on that. And anybody who remembers that video, please go and research backwardation in contango for yourself so you truly understand what it was that, that I was trying to say in that video, since I screwed it all up. But everything that I have ever learned, I pretty much learned from you guys. I had these ideas, and when I would come across these ideas, I would put the video out there saying, okay, this is what I think, what I come across. This is the way I feel. And in the comment section, I would get the yays and nays. If I had a lot of thumbs up on the videos and not a whole lot of thumbs down, then it led me to believe that, maybe I was right about the thought process. If I got a lot of thumbs down, maybe people disagree with what I'm thinking, and they have other thoughts to it. The comment sections is just, it's awesome. It's filled with so many, and ideas that that really, that's where the gold of the channel is, in my opinion. The content, it gives you something to, the video content gives you something to talk about, but really it's the discussion that comes from it that's really, really, that's the important part of this channel, in my opinion. Anyhow, okay, 5 things that I've learned as far as being part of the Uneducated Economist YouTube knowledge learning thing. And I guess probably like the number one thing that I really have taken in and that I see taking place in the economy, which I feel is going to be the most impactful to everybody, is going to be negative interest rates and the Fed coin, the central bank digital currency. That to me is probably one of the biggest things that I have learned since starting the YouTube channel. And we've done a lot of videos talking about this, but that's what I feel. And especially now that that my buddy Tim had sent me a link to an IMF working paper talking about central bank digital currencies, and this thing was dated from back in like 2014 or 15 or something like that. And I think about like Bitcoin had only been out like 5 years by that point, but yet they have this big working paper where they truly understand like, all the inner reactions and everything that the banking system is going to need in order to use this central bank digital currency. It just seems like it was so close to the introduction of Bitcoin, like when they introduced that to the people when it got released. This working paper comes out just 5 years later, and I know that's a long time. Like, it gives people plenty of time to think about it, but really, like, a working paper of this magnitude being created so quickly after Bitcoin, it leads me to believe they're tied together. Anyhow, I haven't, and there's a lot of speculation of people saying that out there, but that really does kind of make me think that way. So that's probably like the number one thing that I think I probably learned. Well, I don't know if it's the number one thing, but it's definitely up there in the top 5. So the other thing, the dollar milkshake theory. This one probably has really taken my mind off of like the economics of the United States and taken the dollar to the world and what the effects of the world have on the dollar. And even though like we're printing up this massive amount of money, is that enough money to cover the entire world's demand for dollars when the demand starts outpacing the supply? Okay, now I know that's kind of confusing on the way I say that, but basically, to put it short, the dollar milkshake theory is kind of the idea that as the rest of the world is printing up money, the United States starts tightening up supply, the demand for dollars explodes out there, and the strength of the dollar goes through the roof. At the same time, gold can move up. Anyway, I don't want to go too much into the milkshake theory, but this is kind of just an idea that the demand for dollars around the world is far exceeding the amount that the Federal Reserve has printed up for use. All right. I'm not going to go too much more into that because there's Brent Johnson can explain that so much better than I can. Anyhow, what was the other thing? I wrote them down here. Being out of debt. Like, I knew being out of debt was important. I had never been out of debt. Like, pretty much since the time I was in my early 20s, I have always had some sort of debt. Credit card debt, auto debt, trying to buy a house debt. I've always carried some sort of debt, and I never really had much of a savings from that. It was just always like, a little bit of savings and all these thousands of dollars that I've owed. And about a year ago or so, I got out of debt and like paid off all my credit cards, all my collections and everything that I had. Guys, I had like, at the time, now it doesn't seem like a big deal, but at the time, $20,000 seemed like an insane amount of money to me. Like more money than I would ever be able to come up with, and I would just like suffer with this $20,000 debt for the rest of my life. That's the way it feels at the time. Now that it's gone, it doesn't seem like that was that big of a deal. Like, it took a long time to pay it off, especially like in the early days of when it was just like I finally stopped like adding to the debt and I started going the other way. Like, it just seemed like I paid on it forever and it didn't go anywhere. It didn't seem like, and then something would happen, I would have to add to it and it would be like all back again. Like, okay, great, starting over. But once it was gone, like all of a sudden, like there was this huge relief of like everything, like the whole world just looked differently. I was standing taller and felt better, and like I found that savings was becoming like addictive. Like I didn't want to buy like a cup of coffee because, you know, like I could put that money into my savings because my savings is growing so big, and it's like it's fun to watch that savings grow. And so the mindset that you have when you are out of debt is much, much different than when you are in debt. When you're in debt, for some reason, you're like, screw it, I don't care. Go ahead and buy it. But when you're out of debt and you have the money, it's not so much. See, this is where like I think the wealth really feels like when you really start to feel the wealth is when you have the ability to buy something, but you don't. Like you have the like I could right now go out and buy a new car. Okay, I could like I mean, I guess I could pretty much pay cash for it, especially if I, cashed in some silver for it, because silver is like where I have a tendency to put a lot of my savings. So I could go out and pay cash for it, but I don't want to. I want the savings. I have this old car and it runs, and that's what I want is a car that runs because I need to get back and forth to work. So I don't care about anything else after that. So I could. So it's not like having the car, it's the availability of being able to buy the car that makes you feel good. You see what I'm saying? So that's the important part of being out of debt is that it gives you a different mindset towards everything. I mean, I look at people, and I never look down upon anybody ever for the decisions that they've made in their life because I've made some piss poor decisions. Okay, so the only thing you can do is move on, is to go forward from there. You apologize for your mistakes, be sincere about them, and you move on. That's all you can do. So I don't like look down upon anybody for the financial decisions or even the personal decisions with, maybe drugs or alcohol or whatever. I don't I don't look down upon those people because, that's it's a tough position to be in, heavily in debt, addicted to drugs, or alcohol or whatever. I mean, these things are not like, a fun place to be. And sometimes spending money on things that make you feel good, like a beer or a cup of coffee or, something like that, has a tendency to try and alleviate that pain that you have from knowing that you are just buried with like what you feel is something that you can't get away from, all this debt and addiction and stuff. I look at those two as very much the same. Debt and addiction I dealt with both of them. So, being out of debt, very important. What was this here? I can't read what it says here. What did I write down? Oh, the more I learned, the more I realized people don't get it. Like people, when I start like picking up this information, and I start learning, and I start realizing it's like, man, this is really useful information. Everybody needs to know this. And I go out there and I start to talk about it, and people just give me the blankest stares. Like, you guys get it because you're into it, you're following. You guys understand it, but like, just sitting in the coffee shop, I listen to some of the conversations that people have, and it's just like these brain dead people. They just don't. I don't think they realize how critical of a situation their whole life is in, and they're just oblivious, just kind of walking through. And then I realized that's the way everybody is. Everybody's walking around with absolutely no knowledge on what's taking place at the Federal Reserve level, the banking level, the economy, the everything. They just like collect their paycheck, go home, watch their TV shows, drink their beer, and that's it. They're happy. A lot of these people, they have like huge savings, in portfolios for stocks, and they look at they're like, man, I'm millions of dollars up. I'm not. Why do I listen to somebody who's recently out of debt driving a $500 car? People just don't get it. They're not looking, and that to me. I knew it before, but now I realize that is a very prominent thing that's taking place right now, is that nobody gets what's taking place. Nobody understands. They listen to they're going to listen to these presidential candidates out there, and they are going to talk a bunch of stuff that's probably going to make no sense to anybody, but might sound real good. Really, the only presidential candidate that I ever heard that I thought did a really good job of trying to get to the heart of the problem was candidate Trump. President Trump sucked at it. Like, President Trump didn't, like, he did nothing like compared to the candidate Trump was talking about. I mean, remember that famous speech there where he was like debating Hillary Clinton and talking about it's a big fat ugly bubble, and it just turned into the biggest, fattest, ugliest bubble in the history of time could ever possibly imagine, even compared to 4 years ago when he was, candidate. Yeah. Anyhow, that's why I don't get into politics. So let's move on. Let's just drop that. Okay, so number one thing that I feel that I have learned from the economy is probably the Federal Reserve's jawboning. Their credible threats, that is what runs this economy right now. Like, all this money printing and all that other stuff, I think that is pretty much a papering over of the problem. But the real reactionary efforts that people put in come from the Federal Reserve statements. And I truly feel that now, that whatever it is that the Fed is saying, that's the way that people are going to react. Because, pretty much there is, like, I've always fought the Fed, and they say don't fight the Fed, right? And I've always fought, like, anytime I ever think, okay, the Fed's going to be printing up a bunch of money, I want to get into silver and gold because they're going to cause hyperinflation. This is like, this causing back and forth that I think of when I think about the Federal Reserve and their actions as far as money printing goes. But between, the Steve Van Meter and, bunny hop, bunny flop statement, kind of contradicting that with the links and stuff, I take on now a different view of what monetary policy really is, because I don't think that stuff really has the impact that it should or once did. But I think all that talking that the Federal Reserve does, like convincing the people, the investors, about, what they're going to do with corporate debt or, stocks, it doesn't matter, any of that stuff. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that I have learned from the Fed. Now, it was always been important, but most people didn't understand a lot of what the Federal Reserve was saying, like especially when Greenspan was up in there. He even had a famous quote that says, if I made myself particularly clear, you probably misunderstood me. That Fed speak was so confusing and so hard to understand that nobody really even listened to him. But now they're out there all the time spitting it out there. As much information is out there in the media. All the Fed presidents are constantly talking. They're just, right, giving that narrative. They're trying to convince you to behave in a certain way because their actions are no longer any good. All right, so that's my idea on that stuff. The 5 things that I have learned from studying the economy and doing the Uneducated Economist. Okay, so that was postcard. Let's see what this package has in it. I think this came directly from a distributor or something, but it says Simon Economist on it, so I'm not sure if this came from Phil or not, but let's see what's in it. Wow, what's this? No, nothing else in there. It's really heavy. Has the American flag on it. It's a pouch here. Oh wow, it's like a little survival kit. So there's like a pocket knife, which you guys know I love pocket knives. So first thing in there, pocket knife. It looks like this is a little snap loop, something a little carry. Flashlight. Oh, man, this is badass, man. Thank you. Alright, looks like a little carabiner. Ruler and some other tools here. What is that? A strike flint? For like making sparks and stuff? This is cool stuff, man. A little reflective blanket. Some tools. Oh, for breaking out the window. Yeah, and we don't need to replace the window. Remember when the other one broke? Cool, loud whistle. Let me see, a little pick or something. Little scribe. Right on, man. Huh. Little saw, little cable saw thing. Very, very cool. Little spoon, little eating utensil. Man, this is so rad. Right on. A little clip with some paracord and a compass. Man, this is right on. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This is very cool. I love little survival kit stuff. I have a couple of different survival packs that I have, like, at any given time, that, in the car or in the house, like, I got like a little kit that has stuff like this, like, a knife, string, like line for tying things. Cool. I really appreciate it, guys. And, again, I want to thank, I'm going to leave a link to a YouTube channel down there. I wish I could, I'm terrible about this. I should have written this down before I came out, but I'm going to leave a link to a YouTuber down there who sent me a bunch of crypto, like a bunch of Bitcoin, a surprisingly big amount of it. And he never really communicated to why. Like, he never reached out to me or anything else like that. And so I don't know if it was just a really big thank you or something, but I appreciate it. And I wish I could remember the full name. It was like Max Crypto. Anyway, I'll leave a link down in the description. I would appreciate it. I'm going to put it as the very first link down there. I would appreciate it if you guys go check out his channel. Seems to really understand the idea of like day trading in cryptos, or at least just day trading in general, on a particular platform. He seems to do really well at it, and considering the size of the tip that he sent me, he must do really well at it. So anyway, I appreciate that, and I would appreciate it if you guys go check out his link, or go check out his YouTube channel from that link. What else did I want to thank you guys for? The PayPal tips. You guys have been awesome with the PayPal tips. I really appreciate that. And it's I know I put it down there as like, hey, buy me a cup of coffee, and I do like buy myself stuff with it, but really I like buying the people around me stuff with that. And when they ask, can we get some appetite, or can we get like anything extra or dessert, I'm always, yep, go for it. And that was stuff that I never really had done before. Like, I'm trying to, because I was always so broke, I guess, throughout my life. And not always so broke, but like for the last, 10 years, it just seemed like I just haven't had anything as far as money goes. And now that, I'm starting to build up a savings and stuff, I don't want to be this like tight ass, I want people to, enjoy the time they're around me anyway. Like, I don't want people to think like, he's a tightwad or something like that. So those PayPal tips, they've really benefited the people in my life, because like I said, I try and spend it on them as much as I can when it's something that's special for them, like going out to eat or getting ice cream or stuff like that. So really appreciate that. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for all the emails. I get a lot of emails from you guys that are like really good stuff. They thank, you guys thank me for all the hard work I'm putting in, talking about, economics and stuff. And you guys share a lot of great links with me, a lot of good stuff. And I'm sorry if I haven't responded. Like I was trying to respond to everybody who like made contact with me, whether it's a tip through PayPal or an email or a comment in the channel. And the channel's just gotten so to the point, I can't keep up on it all. I have a full-time job, and then like I could do like YouTube stuff like in my off time, but then I don't have any time for my family. And I really, like, in the early days of creating this channel, I spent a lot of time coming up with the content and trying to learn and getting this thing off the ground that I that I didn't spend a lot of time with my family. I was like, buried into my phone reading articles or speeches or something. And so I'm trying to spend a little bit more time with the family now. And, especially with the whole lockdown and everything, there really hasn't been a lot to do. And just yesterday, we had 77 cases in our county. That's huge. 77 brand new cases due to a seafood processing plant. They shut down all the schools. So the kids, well, first of all, the older one, they were doing remote learning anyway. But the younger one, he was going to school. They were taking like the younger kids and allowing them to go to school for a part of the day, and today is the last day. So starting Monday, everybody's going to be remote learning here in the county. And I don't know what they're going to do, considering that was a huge number. Like, we only have, I don't even know how many people live in the county, 25, 30,000 or something like that. So 77 cases, brand new cases to hit the county, that's that's huge. That's going to have some impact. Alrighty, guys. Uneducated Economist. You let me know.